Yo! Wagwan, welcome back. So, before we even start off, I want to start off by saying this. Happy New Year. And I want to welcome everyone to the channel if this is your first time. If you're a return viewer, return member of the family, thank you for coming back. We're in the new year, we're in 2022, baby. So, 2022 comes with new visions, new goals. We ain't on that 2020 vision. We ain't on 2021 no more. We're on 2022. So, I decided to start off 2022 with my first video being a banger. And what better way to start off than with It's Complicated, one of the banger YouTube channels on this type of content. So, without further ado, let's get right in there.
Just hypothetically, if you were on a job interview, would you...
Okay, hold on. I need my headphones.
Just hypothetically, if you were on a job interview, would you prefer to be in the position of the person doing the hiring?
Or the one who is the applicant submitting your resume?
No, doing the hiring, for sure.
For sure.
Yeah,
why is
because
that?
you have authority and it's up to you whether they get the job or not.
Because you're the decider, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Can you see the comparison between that situation and when a man approaches a woman to ask her out on a date? He's applying
The
to
woman
be...
is the decider.
The woman is the decider, right?
Yes.
Isn't that an awfully privileged position to be in?
Yes, it is.
Okay. And would you say that when a man approaches a woman, he's seeking her approval?
Yes.
Okay.
The one
The one
hiring.
in control.
The one in control, right? Most
Yeah.
people would say that, right?
Yeah.
Why do you think? Because you're the decider, right?
Yeah, you have the power.
Can you see the similarity between that situation and when a man approaches a woman like they typically do, you know, to ask her out on a date or a relationship?
Because men hit on women, women don't really hit on men.
Right.
Yes.
Women don't
Basically.
typically approach men, right?
Yeah.
So basically, a man approaches a woman, typically she's the decider. Isn't that an awfully privileged position to be in?
It is, but I feel like that's kind of like society.
Right.
Yeah.
The norms that we've grown up in.
So...
Also, well, I don't think part of it. I don't want to necessarily call it privilege because think about like when you go to New York and you get catcalled. I wouldn't
Okay.
call that a privilege, and yet that's a man hitting on a woman.
There's also a danger factor for us that I don't think a lot of men consider because they don't walk around feeling unsafe most of the time. So for us, if a man walks up to us and says, "I like your tits," we automatically feel like we're in danger.
Yeah, and we might have to then carry our keys on our hand like weapons
Exactly.
because he might be stalking us the rest of the way home, which has happened to most women.
Yeah.
I feel like.
Well, right, but I'm saying that's kind of like the toxic side of, you know, men hitting on women, but at the same time, let me ask you this question then. And I'm not denying that, like, you know, catcalling and harassment happens. It certainly does. Would you personally be willing to give up the occasional catcalling or harassment if it meant that you never ever got any attention whatsoever or special treatment?
They won't.
I mean, I want attention.
Exactly.
Catcalled.
But here's the thing.
Exactly.
Isn't that kind of like saying I want to be a celebrity, but I don't want to have to ever deal with any paparazzi?
I mean, yeah, that's one way of
I
looking at
feel
it.
like no matter what, there's always going to be a double-edged sword to any topic that you look at, and I feel like that's one because, yeah, I feel like females, yes, we do want attention, but the thing is, at the same token, we only want attention from certain people.
Right.
Yeah.
But I'm saying life isn't really kind of like an a la carte situation. You kind of
Right.
have to take the bad with the good, right?
Yeah.
Do you think this is true? A true statement here? Do you think it's true that
That's what happens in
women
life.
often
That's what
find
happens with life.
attractive men cute and romantic when an ugly one doing the exact same thing is creepy?
Yes, because the women want to see what they want to see, and that sometimes
So-
bases on looks.
Do you think it is realistic that nobody
Yo,
should ever
you-
feel
you
unsafe?
This is not common because you rarely ever see this guy put himself on camera. Very interesting. But just to even recap on the previous point, women love attention. That's their driving force. Attention is their driving force. And we could go into way more detail on why attention is so powerful for women based on like survival and biology and all the other reasons. But at the same time, just understand the underlying principle. Attention is a woman's most powerful currency. And a lot of women love attention, but they want attention from the people they decide they want it from. But the thing is, as he was explaining, with just this overall power of getting attention from men in general, you get a lot of attention from men that you may not want attention from, especially guys who catcall, guys who may be a little bit too aggressive, guys who may be, just overbearing and just a little too much. But at the same time, it comes with the territory, and most women would prefer to have the overall attention than just to be invisible. Like I said, it's the currency.
Yes. I don't know that it's possible.
So it's not realistic then, right?
Probably not. Yeah.
Okay. So do you think that it's
It'd be ideal, but
well, we should obviously all aim for that, but I mean, I'm just saying, is it realistic? I mean, there's a lot of people I think nowadays who get very angry at the way things are because they expect to just feel safe all the time. And I'm saying, well, that's life. You got to take risks sometimes, right?
yeah, I agree. Yeah.
I really don't know, man. I can't even date as a woman. It's hard because you're just skeptical of everyone because you have all these bad experiences, and it's just you kind of group all men together as the same thing, and you're just skeptical.
Let's say that a guy buys a flashy car or something like that, right?
Okay.
Is he doing? I mean,
Oh yeah.
isn't he doing that kind of stuff to try to
he
get
would do it for women. Yeah.
for a woman? Okay.
Basically.
Or
To, show off.
or maybe okay, look at nightclub culture and stuff, right?
Okay.
Women typically get in for free. Who are the ones in there spending all the money?
Men, yeah.
Why do you think that is?
Because
What a
they're putting the money
bitches. For the
towards women.
bitches.
They're trying
that's where all
to.
the money is.
They're trying to impress women.
Yeah, impressed.
To
yeah.
try to seek their approval, right?
I
Okay.
agree.
So what I'd like to know is, do you believe that being in love requires you to be vulnerable?
Definitely.
I think that pretty much goes without saying. How can you make yourself vulnerable without getting taken advantage of?
Okay, I'm gonna have to think about that.
Simple
I think
answer.
There's always a risk in
Simple
being
answer.
vulnerable, right? But if we're not vulnerable, then we're never gonna know what's possible, right? If I'm a life coach, disclaimer. But if we always have this wall up, then we're not gonna be able to connect with the other person, right? And so if we're not vulnerable, you can't truly be in a relationship, and you're never gonna know what.
Yeah,
that
you
really
didn't
is.
answer the question though.
Have you ever heard of a dating coach or a pickup artist?
She didn't even answer the question though. All right, let me answer the question for you real quick. So, the way to be vulnerable without getting taken advantage of. Obviously, vulnerability is an important aspect when it comes to making situations work, whether with friendships or relationships. But the surefire way to make sure that your relationships don't become abusive and that you don't get taken advantage of is by setting clear boundaries. So when it comes to those boundaries, you have to enforce those boundaries whenever they're crossed, and you have to be willing to go deep and dive within those contexts and enforce that system that you've set in place. So it's fine to be open and vulnerable to the people you want to be vulnerable with, but you also need those boundaries so that there's a line that doesn't get crossed. So especially with women, if you're a guy, you need boundaries, especially with any girl you're dealing with. It's the most important factor. Women have a tendency to walk over a guy who doesn't have boundaries and who does not respect himself. And if you don't enforce your own boundaries, she's going to start walking all over you. And this is one of the reasons guys fail a lot of times, because they don't enforce these boundaries. And so when you hear stories of a woman crossing the line or getting out of line, and she continuously does these behaviors over and over and over again, it's because there's a guy somewhere in parallel that did not enforce the boundaries and did not allow the consequences to be explained and to be played out. If she doesn't follow your boundaries, you may have to just let her go. And a lot of guys are not willing to take the L, but you always need to be willing to enforce your boundaries and take the L if you need to.
dating coach.
A dating coach. Would you say that there are more dating coaches for men than there are for women?
A lot of dating coaches for guys.
Or pickup artists, right? What a pickup artist is like a
For
man,
men, yeah.
a man who teaches men how to go up to women and
hit girls,
get their attraction like that, right?
Yeah.
But
that's true.
there's more of them than for men than there are for women, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Is that because they're trying to teach men how to seek women's approval? Here's my question.
Not really. Not really.
Men are constantly trying to seek women's approval.
Yes.
You should never seek a girl's
Why do so many
approval.
people think we're living in a male-dominated society?
That's a good question. But I also feel like there's different situations. So all the questions you asked me have to do with dating.
Right.
And in that sequence or in that situation, yes, you're right.
What? That what?
Yeah, you're right with like it is women that are kind of like giving the higher power.
Women
when
have
it comes to
okay.
dating, yeah.
Okay.
That they have a connection.
I think that it's totally about looks at first.
Totally.
And then
Like, you're attracted to them because they're like beauty or
Yes,
whatever.
you're
But yeah, totally.
But then after that, what holds up the relationship
Is like their
the connection
personality
and
and
the
not
Okay.
connection.
Do you think it's harder to find a relationship or to maintain a relationship?
maintain a
I think
relationship.
find. I think
maintain.
I think it depends on the person, but overall, if you're a compromising person, it takes more to find a person that you're willing to compromise and meet in the middle with than it does to actually compromise with.
No. No.
No, totally. I totally don't get it, but
Dude.
I will say whatever
What's the
for the
next question?
camera.
That was a really good point, though. Like, with just the fact that, like, I don't know, just the fact that you say, like, it's a men's world, but then you look into dating and it really is like a woman's world, you know? Like, we do have, like, the say a lot in who we date and who we see.
If any of you happen to be looking for a quality man, where would you expect to find him?
Not in Las
Life is beautiful. Library.
Let's be real, in a library.
Life is beautiful.
At the UNLV library.
I want a festy bestie, mans. I have
All
one
right, well,
though.
let me try this now, related to that. Have you ever noticed a correlation between the music people listen to and the quality of their character?
Oh, 1,000,000%. Oh, for sure. I can't like connect
This
with
is
somebody.
an interesting
I
question.
cannot-
Yo, this boy
come back
about to
into
get
that afterwards. Thank
fucking
you. Be respectful.
about to get a 1-2. My dog about to
I cannot connect with somebody
my
that
dog about
does
to
not have
enforce
the
some
same
boundaries.
expectations as me. 1,000,000%. I think that kind of like shows someone's characteristics, and you can vibe off of like same music taste and stuff, right?
Well, like
1,000,000%.
in all fairness, like, have you ever noticed that like if you go to like a Bob Marley reggae concert, it's a lot different than if you go to like like a gangster rap
Like
show.
a
you know
rock,
what I mean, right?
exactly.
Yeah,
I
I
would
feel
way
that.
rather like a chill guy who can vibe than like ones that's like trapping, only listen to ASAP
However,
Ferg.
if you've heard the recent interview with, I don't know her real name, but the woman who plays Meredith on Grey's Anatomy, she talked about how she's a feminist, but she considers herself a bad feminist because she still listens to rap music, which degrades women.
I was just going to ask you
Yes,
about that.
but-
I was just going to ask you about that. Yes.
But she still finds quality within herself, even though she listens to music that holds different opinions.
Okay.
It's what
I mean, I guess like all right, the whole music debate, right? I listen to a variety of music. I'm sure most people have like different tastes and different genres they dive into. But at the same time, the music kind of like helps you to understand a little bit of like your personality. Like depending on the type of music you like, the type of music you listen to. Now, me as a guy, I'm not like someone that sells drugs. I don't gangbang. I don't shoot people. I don't do all that shit. But do I listen to that type of music? Fuck yeah. Do I listen to all types of sad music sometime? Fuck yeah. Do I listen to lit hype music? Fuck yeah. Do I listen to techno music occasionally? Fuck yeah. It's different types of music, different experiences. One specifically doesn't necessarily determine like your whole overall personality, but you can kind of get a sense of where your underlying focus goes depending on the type of music you listen to. I listen to a lot of drug music. I listen to a lot of drill, rap, whatever. That don't mean I'm in the streets gang banging, but it still can tell us something about my mentality and what kind of places or genres I'm more likely to be involved in. You get what I'm saying? I'm sure you get what I'm saying.
Every person should understand is we have to open up. Like, we have to be willing to look at ourselves and, know that if somebody on the outside is upsetting us, that has to do with us and not the other person.
Yo,
So
she still said a whole
like
bunch of
a man or a
nothing.
woman thing. Like,
Yo, for a life coach, she said a whole bunch of nothing. Is this what life coaches do? I swear, like, do life coaches just literally, like, just talk about, like, the same subject in a loop and not give you actual practical advice? Sheesh. Dog, sheesh. Yeah, like, I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't think everyone can be a life coach. And even with this channel, my goal is not necessarily to be a life coach, but to, like, give people practical advice based on my experiences and how they can best navigate, like, the next upcoming steps depending on their situation. But to give general, broad scale advice, that's not me, dog. That's really not me. But at the same time, I think everyone needs somebody with, like, another level of experience, but not everyone should be a life coach. You feel me? I don't even consider myself a life coach. I'm just a fucking dude that, has some experience, has some knowledge in certain aspects that I can share with people who are, still dealing with these previous issues. So, life coach? Nah. Guy who's trying to help, like your brother? That's me. Don't hit me up for full life advice. I don't know everything, but I'll tell you what I know.
just be willing to look at yourself and know that you have flaws and be willing to work on those and worry more about your flaws than the other person's.
Spoken like a true life coach. I think that's a great answer. No, I mean, obviously,
I think that was a shitty answer.
Absolutely.
If we live in a male-dominated society, why would men allow women to have the power in dating, which is pretty much what most men want from women, right? Is relationships and dating, right?
Yes, approval.
So why would we, if we were in charge, wouldn't we basically say, hey, we have all the power in dating, you have to basically be with us?
But the only reason that is not the case is because this is, a free country, and we're able to say no if we want to.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
That's true. Okay. All right.
You said you're married, right?
15 years.
15 years.
We got married here in July.
Oh, sorry.
2004.
Say that one more time. I'm sorry.
We got married here in July in 2004, so 15 years we've been married.
Just out of curiosity, like, let's say you were single, right? If you happen to be looking for a quality man, where would you expect to find one?
I don't think we could be judgmental. I met my husband at a bar after I told my dad I wasn't going to find a guy in a bar. So, I think you just have to be open and know that whatever relationships you've had to skew your mind to think that there's not somebody out there for you, to trust and know that there is somebody out there for you, and to know what qualities you're really looking for, and to be able to trust that that's out there, and who knows where you're going to find it.
Typical general broad scale advice that life coaches give. Here's the practical real answer. Depending on where you go, you'll find different types of people. People normally congregate to where their mindset shifts to. So if you're going towards a club, you're going to meet a certain type of person. If you're going towards the library, you're going to see people studying. If you go towards a school, you're going to see people learning. If you go to a book fair, you're going to see different groups of people. Now, the probability of someone being a certain way, depending on the environment they put themselves in, is highly likely that you're going to get that result. So if you meet girls from the club, you're generally going to meet party girls. You're generally going to meet thoughts. You're generally going to meet girls who are just good for a short term. Now, to say that there's not exceptions to the rule would be stupid. There's obviously some exceptions. She may have experienced that. But this general life advice stuff, I don't really understand it. But I think, obviously, from a practical sense, depending on where you go, you will meet different types of people. Yeah, this is not the best advice.
One thing I think is very
Sounds
interesting
good,
that
though.
a lot of people will tell me is just the importance of communication in relationships. And it's like we can all agree on that, but the problem is nobody communicates. Most people prefer texting instead of talking and not engaging with their environment, socializing in places where it's too loud to have a conversation. So I agree. I think there's just a lack of self-awareness in people. And so I'm just wondering, like, is there anything that we can do to try to, like, maybe just help make people a little more self-aware without maybe them feeling like they're being attacked or being judged or something like that?
That was a lot.
Just, I mean, do you think people are open to constructive criticism or?
Not really. Like, I don't think they are. I think we're all looking. I think a lot of the society is looking to be offended. What can I be pissed off about today? Who can offend me? And what's going on out there that I can be angry about? Instead of looking at like what I have and what I can be grateful for and what I can do to make a difference in the world.
What do you think is causing that?
I don't know.
Okay, I'm just asking because I as a life coach.
Like we have this generation of people that I don't know.
Do you think it's a generational thing or it's a cultural thing or? Because I mean, have you traveled? Have you been to other cultures? I'm wondering if you've.
I haven't been to other cultures, so I can't speak on that. But I do think there's a difference from so I have an 18-year-old son, and like what I believe, like working hard and working hard to get to where you want to be, and he's like, no, like you shouldn't have to work so hard. Like, why do you think that? And I'm like, what? And so I'm really trying to be open and understanding instead of so rigid and like thinking my way's the way. Like I'm really looking to be open. So I think if more of us were willing to be open and looking to see just what the universe has to teach us, we'd probably learn a lot more.
It reminds me of that. There's a famous quote that says, "Your mind is like a parachute. It doesn't work if it's not open."
Yeah. Oh, that's beautiful. I haven't heard that one. Awesome.
Like, all right. So I'm gonna be real. On a general sense, the positive, being open-minded, and all these things are effective, right? They do work. But at the same time, just saying broad-scale knowledge is not helpful to people who need that knowledge. As a life coach, you're generally specifically going towards people who have a specific problem, who have specific issues, and who need help overcoming those issues, regardless of what facet of life you're dealing with. So just this general, like, oh yeah, like, I'm just open and I'm just gonna figure it out and I'm gonna learn and yes. But where's the practicality of all that? Where's the step-by-step? Okay, cool. This is how the world is structured. This is how the world is set up. You need to navigate this way and navigate this way and do this and do that so you can overcome these issues. Obviously with a positive mindset, but still need some practicality towards it. I don't really see the whole life coach thing, but as people that go into different arenas to kind of analyze and diagnose certain things, I personally look at it cool. If you're gonna give advice from your experience. Give advice from things you've gone through and times tested things that you've experienced, and then you'll be more qualified to really give better advice because it's something that you've gone through step by step and you've overcome those things. But as a whole, not every piece of advice is good advice. So I just want to put that out there. Shaking my head. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, turn on notifications, and as always, remember to stay official. Peace.